Like any other job that's very efficiently done, the capture of the whole province of Cyrenaica has been comparatively easy to the onlooker. This illusion, however, can be dispelled by these Movietone pictures taken during the victorious advance across the eastern Libyan desert. For instance, when we hear of sandstorms, well, this is what they're like. Very unpleasant and very difficult. Yet under such conditions, the army of the Nile has advanced about 500 miles and fought at least 5 big battles. And mostly they've had to take their water with them. Here's a filling up station, water I mean, of course, not petrol, a very popular spot for both man and beast. All across the desert are signs of the unprecedented victory won by the combined forces of the Army, the RAF and the Royal Navy. Wrecked Italian planes are fairly common objects, and a desert dugout is cleverly concealed with bits of the wreckage. But dugouts and plane wrecks are not so numerous as the hundreds of Italian transport vehicles which lie smashed and abandoned all over the place. Here again, with all this equipment as evidence of the strength of the Italian army, we can be sure that British triumph was anything but easy. Before the capture of Tobruk, the enemy aerodrome of El Adem, far out in the desert to the south, was taken. Here there were Italian bombers by the dozen, most of them having been put out of action by the Royal Air Force, but some by our tanks. The airfield, of course, was taken over by our own machines. Inside the hangars, the planes were chiefly fighters, altogether nearly 70 machines. Australian artists brightened up the place with a few choice murals, while the capture of the station clearly showed the Italians which way the wind was blowing in Africa. Tobruk was heavily bombarded by our artillery before the final assault was made, and they had a variety of nice-looking guns with which to do the job. By the time all 3 services had bombarded the place, there were many big fires, including an old cruiser burning in the harbour. Our infantry moved up while the shelling continued, and the Italians moved out while the shelling continued. In many an outpost, Italians had stood their ground and paid the penalty. But at many other places there were signs of a hasty departure. Even bottles of Chianti were left behind. When the town was taken, a few Italian women were among the prisoners. I wouldn't say they looked very sad about the fall of Tobruk, would you? Meanwhile, some of our lads contrived to have a private celebration. They'd certainly earned it. Some of them got themselves knighted on the spot. One of them had an Italian flag, also a goat, rightly called Benito. As for prisoners, well, we've seen plenty of them before, but how about this little lot? The prize prisoner was Rear Admiral Viettina Massimiliano. He was in command here, not Electric Whiskers Annibale Bergonzoli. We were in the town early while the roundup was going on. Anyway, we occupied the place with tanks and infantry, and then the British Blitz continued, straight on to Benghazi and beyond.